Hello, Mrs. Middleton here, walking you through some information on adaptations. Let's get started. Just as a refresher, adaptations are only heritable traits that improves the ability of an individual organism to survive and to reproduce at a higher rate than other individuals in a population are able to do under prevailing environmental conditions. Most people think of adaptations going hand in hand with natural selection, which occurs when environmental conditions favor some individuals over others. Some might think of this as the survival of the fittest, which doesn't necessarily mean the strongest. Each individual organism is trying to move their genetic material forward into the future of that population. The quote-unquote fittest are the best suited due to the environmental conditions. For example, there are two types of male salmon that scientists typically consider fittest. There are the super strong typical salmon with a dorsal lump and a huge hooked mouth that is shown at the top of the picture. And then there are male fish that look a lot like the female salmon at the bottom of the picture. They both persist and move their genetic material forward, and in that way, the normal-looking male and the quote-unquote cross-dressing salmon are considered fit. And cross-dressing is not my word. I got that vocabulary from Tom Horvath from SUNY College. I know that this is also a review for the majority of you, but just as a reminder, organisms adapt to their environment over time, both in short-term scales and in long-term scales. The beauty of a population is the genetic variability within that group. Some individuals in a population will be considered more fit than others. For example, let's say you are a farmer and you have a group of pests that are chowing down on your crop. In that population of pests, you have genetic differences. Even if they came from the same bug, they will have slight differences in their DNA. This is because of mutations within the DNA. The red bugs have a mutation that helps them resist the death that is usually brought on by the pesticide. Now the more resistant bugs are left, and they are going to get it on as bugs do because they have the adaptation, that mutation in their DNA that makes them more favorable to the environment. Now the farmer has a problem, that's you. You can up the dosage of the pesticide, but that only kills off the pest without the mutation. Some farmers in real life will do this, and it won't work, and it's called the pesticide cycle. The farmer will have to continue buying more of the same pesticide, and that species becomes more and more resistant, and the pesticide becomes more and more ineffective over time. It's not that the actual living bug becomes more resistant. The population becomes more resistant as the stronger or the quote-unquote more fit ones live on and push that population to become more resistant to the pesticide. Luckily, most farmers have wised up in the US and know that you must rotate and change your pesticide, or this cycle of the resistant rising up and taking over your crop year by year will continue. By the way, this is an example of an organism adapting to their environment in a short-term scale through the incremental changes to that population through their genetics. Organisms adapt to their environment over time, both in the short and long-term scales. I gave you an example of short-term adaptations, such as a pest that has a mutation in their DNA, which makes them more resistant to the pesticide used by a farmer. It's very quick and can happen in about a year that the wrong pest has the right DNA to persist. An example of long-term adaptations would be the ability of Homo sapiens to walk upright. Evolutionary-wise, it took much longer than a year. Our last note on adaptations is that environmental changes, either sudden or gradual, may threaten a species' survival, requiring individuals to alter behaviors, move, or perish. Let's say you are ill and your body has housed a bacteria that is causing an infection. Your doctor might change the environment within your body by putting you on antibiotics, which will change the favorable environment for the bacteria enough to make it perish. Thank you for your time. Have an excellent evening, and never forget that you can ask questions via email or face-to-face tomorrow.